Finals are on the horizon and it's last chance saloon for a number of clubs. We take a look at how Geelong, Melbourne and Essendon can all qualify. Plus, Hawks skipper Em Bates joins us in the studio on the eve of her side's Milliondollar Sunday. No pressure, Em. You're watching The W Show, thanks to NAB. Great to have your company on The W Show. Thanks to NAB. Sarah Ollie in the host chair today and back as she is every week. And back from the top end, award-winning journalist Sarah Black.
Sarah, it's good to be back in Melbourne. Absolutely love my time in Darwin. Hot and humid, but a lot of fun.
Not so hot and humid down here indeed, but we are so lucky to have Hawks skipper Em Bates with us in the studio on the eve of what will be Hawthorn's AFLW first finals foray. Em, welcome. Are you pumped? How are you feeling?
So pumped. Plenty on the line on Sunday, which we're really embracing and really excited about. So really excited and happy to be here.
We'll get to your Hawthorn in a little bit and what has made them so successful this year. But let's begin with the Dreamtime draw in Darwin and some injuries emanating from that match. And Sarah, unfortunately for Essendon ruck Steph Wales, it's been confirmed she has indeed ruptured that ACL, which is just devastating for the Bombers. And it's going to flow into next year as well, isn't it?
For sure. This was one where it was, sometimes you go, oh, it might be a knee, might not be. Instantly, the mood was that this was a torn ACL. Steph has been in absolutely tremendous form for the Bombers. They really took it up to a much vaunted Richmond midfield, and she was such a key part of that. So, looking forward, they're going to be relying on Matilda Dyke, who's quite inexperienced, and Sophie Alexander to pinch hits. So, if the Bombers are to go far in finals, this could be a really significant blow.
I mean, Em, you're a midfielder. You rely so much on that connection with the ruck. What did you think when you saw that, especially because you've got Lucy Wales, who's the twin of Steph?
Oh, it just broke all of our hearts. The Wales family is so special to us. They've been through so much for the last couple of years. So to see that happen, you just immediately think, wow, what if that happened to Lucy? She's so important to us. But as we know, they're a strong family. They're strong sisters, and I know she'll get through it. But it's a massive loss for Essendon, especially going into a must-win game this weekend.
And unfortunately, it wasn't the only injury emanating out of that match. And this one is Sarah Hoskinson. And we can see there, Sarah, she is grabbing at that upper right hamstring. And it's an issue for her because she's got history in this department, doesn't she?
Yeah, same hamstring that she had major surgery on last year, and it took her quite a bit to come back from. She did follow-up surgery. She came back to the season late this year. She knew instantly that this is going to be a severe one. We believe it's a tendon issue once again. So unfortunately for Sarah, there's a long road back for recovery, and she's been in great form for the Tigers too as a pressure forward. So that's not going to be easily replaceable either.
Who does replace her?
I'm thinking young Charlie Ryan might come into the side in her third season at AFLW level, but her first actually playing. She's had a lot of injuries, so a bit of pressure on Charlie, but she'll rise to the occasion.
And now it was Tiger time at the tribunal on Tuesday night, and this is to do with Sherena Sheeran, who has found herself in some really good form, predominantly playing as a midfielder for Richmond, but says she's found herself in a bit of strife here with this incident pushing Georgia Nanscorn into an umpire. Initially, she got off with a fine, but we've got some developments since then.
Yes, this has been quite an intriguing case. We haven't seen anything really like this. There's sort of similarities to an incident with Eric Hipwood in 2022 in the men's competition. But Sheeran was clear. She was ready to go. $200 fine in the back pocket for what was downgraded to a careless charge by the tribunal, David Neitz being one of the panellists on that one. The AFL have since come out and appealed the decision. So we're expecting that case to run on Thursday night tonight ahead of teams to be named. Sheeran is such an integral part of this Richmond side. The finals, top four hopes is still a chance up against Em's Hawks on the weekend. So, there'll be a lot riding on this case.
I mean, Em, I won't get you to talk to the decision because it's still before the appeals, but in terms of being a midfielder and the way you do push off around clearance, is that common? Is that just something you've got in your toolkit?
It is quite a common tactic mids will use just to get that separation around stoppage. But you do have to have that awareness of where the umpire is. Obviously, every time they ball the ball up, they'll let you know where they're coming back. So it is on the mids to have the awareness of where the umpire is, especially because they're quick to give out fines to make sure you do protect the umpire. So I guess Sheeran being new to the midfield, potentially that's something that she wasn't aware of, potentially, coming from halfback. But, as a mid, people do use them, but you really shouldn't because you have to protect the ump.
It was something that she raised in her tribunal case, was also just that she's a really strong player. She's one of the most powerful players in the AFLW, and that Georgia Ann's squad is quite small. So she was using it to get leverage, and I think Ben Waterworth from Fox Sports had picked up. She'd done it a number of times previously in that game. So it's a tactic that's worked up until a certain point, and now it may need one that may need a bit of adjustment.
All right, so we are just a week away from finals, and when it comes to North Melbourne, the Ladder-Leaders, they are staring down the barrel of potentially a perfect season. They've got one game to go against Gold Coast, and guys, we do know they had that draw earlier in the year at Arden Street against Geelong. Look at that stat there. The Lions went unbeaten in 2017 but lost in the grand final. You were a Lion then, so I'm just wondering, do you think it's better to have a loss in the season and kind of figure out where you can tighten things up a little bit, or are you not worried when it comes to the Kangaroos?
Look, a loss is always good. I think sometimes with losses you might review them more heavily and more critically, and you learn more from them at times. But I think with the leadership of Croc being such an experienced coach, Carney's played a lot of games, a really strong leadership group, they'll know that you need to review these games just as heavily win, lose or draw. So I think with that leadership at the helm, they'll know that. And then the other risk is just complacency coming into things. But, I read an article today from Croc saying how they're constantly looking to improve. They're staying in the moment, not looking too far ahead. So I think with that sort of leadership, I don't think it should be an issue. And especially with the experience of last year's grand final going down in that one, I think that really sets you up to do well come this final series.
And they didn't have it all their own way at the start of the season, so they did draw with Geelong. And, listening to Darren Crocker's press conferences in the weeks around that, he wasn't happy with how they were playing. So, it could be argued that they've already gone through that, soul-searching period and a reminder that they can't play perfect footy at all opportunities. And they've had some tests in the rain as well. So I'm expecting North to do well, but, yeah, we'll just keep an eye on that, whether they needed a loss.
So the Roos, they've got the Gold Coast on Saturday, but on Sunday we are calling it Milliondollar Sunday when it comes to Hawthorn's match against Richmond, because this is all to do with the McClellan Trophy, which is awarded to the best team throughout the home and away series for men's and women. For the men, a win is 4 points. For the women, it is worth 8 points. And your Hawks, they are sitting pretty on top there. Basically, if you win, you've got it all sewn up, and that means money coming your way. And not to be crass, but it does mean $250,000 divided between the W list of 30. I've done the math. It's $8,333. Not a bad windfall indeed. Yep. But what would you spend the money on, Em? I know you're rather sensible, but would it be something a bit fun?
Well, I've just bought a house, so I have a big mortgage, so I think it'd be going straight to that. But yeah, not looking too far ahead, obviously, but we're really excited about the opportunity. If you told us at the start of the year we'd be playing off for $1 million, we probably wouldn't have believed you. So we're really excited. It's funny, the boys were at the club yesterday and all of a sudden they were very excited to see us play on Sunday. James Sisley was telling me he's got bills to pay. So no, we're really excited about the opportunity and the pressure that comes with it, because obviously heading into our first final series, that's pressure galore. It's make or break, do or die. So we're actually excited that we have this pressure because we want to see what we're made of.
Let's bring up the live ladder now as we head into week 9, just 1 week out before finals. And Hawthorn, well, they're sitting pretty in second there. The double chance all but sewn up. There's a bit of jostling there when it comes to the top 4, but I think the bottom half of the 8 is where we're really going to see some movement, aren't we?
Yeah, there's still quite a few teams in the mix. So draw the line between Geelong and Euroke or St Kilda.
Yep.
The Saints are done. So Geelong will kick it all off on Friday night against Adelaide. This is going to be a really interesting one, Sarah, because the Cats have to win to stay in the contest.
All right, so Essendon, Melbourne and Geelong, they are the 3 teams that are vying for that 8th position. We're just going to make it easy for you and tell you how it can all happen. As you said, Sarah, the Cats, they must win to keep their season alive. They're then relying on Melbourne and Essendon to lose, and I guess that's kind of been the story of their season, hasn't it? It's been disappointing given that last year they made a preliminary final.
Incredibly frustrating, especially when you couple in the fact that they've beaten beaten Brisbane and drawn with North Melbourne. So they're best matches up with the very best in the competition. One thing that's going to be really disappointing for the Cats in this game is that they've got 9 players who are ruled out completely and 1 a test. So they'll have 3 to 4 top-up players within their squad of 24. So that may swing the needle in Adelaide's favour, I think.
The math, though, is a little bit more simple if you are of the Bombers' persuasion. Put it simply, if they beat Carlton on Saturday night, they are in the 8. Now, Em, you're coming back from a pretty taxing game and trip in Cairns. The Bombers are coming back from this taxing trip and game in Darwin, where I think it was still mid-30s when they were playing. Do you think this could be a factor? How fatigued are these girls going to be?
Oh, I think coming off the back of the condensed fixture, you're more fatigued than obviously playing games with only a 4-day break at times. So I think there's still probably a 7-day break in the end. The high performance team will be getting them, it'll all be about getting rehydrated. Yeah, I'm sure they'll have a light load this week. So I think they'll be fit and firing come Saturday.
And the Melbourne equation, they must beat Collingwood, which you think would be a little bit more easy given Collingwood are on the bottom of the ladder. But they're also hoping, Sarah, that the Bombers lose and that Carlton get the job done against them. So a bit to play out when it comes for the Ds. But it looks like possibly they can get into.
They're a definite chance, which is not what we thought about a month ago.
No.
We sort of were thinking they're too far back. They've rallied really well, got a few players back from injury, which helps. Percentage is also going to be an issue for Melbourne. They're well behind the 8 ball off the back of some pretty heavy losses earlier this year.
Who do you think gets in out of the 3 teams?
I can't see Essendon losing to Carlton.
Yeah, okay.
And if they win, that's the door shut.
Yeah, I've got my eyes set on the Ds, but plenty to play out. But we do have Hawthorn skipper Em Bates with us in the studio, so let's celebrate an incredible season in the brown and gold. Em, I want to begin with the midfield mix because this year you've really got so many mates in there helping you out when you think of Eliza West coming across from Melbourne and just the evolution of the likes of a Mattia Breed and also a Jazz Fleming. How has it evolved in your eyes this season?
I've absolutely loved it. I think Westie's brought so much to our group, so clean with her hands and so aggressive at ground level, really competitive player, and has really helped me be freed up as well with a lot of the dirty work around clearance. So she's been incredible and we've got along like a house on fire, and coming in and being a vice captain straight away says a lot about her as well. But Mattia Breed, you obviously saw on Thursday night even take Mark of the Year.
Yeah.
So she just brings that real X factor and power and strength in our midfield that a lot of midfielders don't have. A lot of them are the similar body shapes, don't have that real strength and height that she brings. So I think it's a really good mix for us. And then you've got our young star in Jazz Fleming, who we just love giving her the ball and letting her do the rest. So she's so exciting to watch. I think we're only starting to see just the tip of the iceberg with what she can do, because some of the things at training you just sit back and are just shocked at. So it's a really exciting mix. We get along so well and are so happy for each other that when we do well. So I think it's a supportive group. And then even Lucy Wales, our ruck, she's had an incredible season and is doing so well and almost plays as an inside mid at times with the handballs that she can get out as well. So happy times at the Hawks.
What about Daniel Webster, your coach? It was around this time 12 months ago that you guys were searching for a replacement for Beck Goddard, and you put it on the record, Em, that you wanted someone with a tactical nous. But in your wildest dreams, did you think in year 1, I know you call him D-Web, under D-Web, that you could achieve this? You've gone from 14th to 2nd, and the stat that really stands out for me there is like you guys are just scoring like a house on fire.
I know, I never would have, obviously we knew we'd have improvement, but to have that really sharp rise up the ladder still shocks us now. But I think the way we want to play under him, it's a really exciting brand of football. It sort of brings out all of our strengths, and the way he laid our pre-season up, it was just about learning this system in a really methodical way. There's times at training we thought, like, why are we doing this drill? But by the end of it, it all came together as to why, because it's sort of these layers of learning a new system. And, a lot of us played in the VFLW for Box Hill and people raised their eyebrows at that, but it was because we were so hungry and determined to learn this new way so that come round 1 of AFLW, we could, hit the ground running. So, he's honestly incredible. He's a bit of a football genius, but he's also great one-on-one. He knows your game better than you do and can just sort of give you a few things to improve on that make a massive difference. And even some of the speeches he comes out with, he's just a really inspiring man. He has a way with words. We're really lucky to have him.
Let's zoom out a little bit, Em. You've been you're an inaugural player, gosh, I'll get that out, of the AFLW. We speak about the need for tactical nous and stuff. How has that evolved over the last 8 years or so? Because it feels like, in order to beat those top sides, you don't just need the players, you need the system as well.
You do. I think it's more system-based footy. I think early years of AFLW was a lot of game style. You wanted to move the ball a certain way, but you probably didn't set the field a certain way to allow it. So now it's real system-based, just like the men's, I guess. And, you defend as a system, attack, where each other are because of this system, as opposed to, more game styles. So I think that's the big evolution I've seen. But even just skill development, you might have a certain way that you want to play, but if your players can't hit these certain kicks and generate uncontested marks, then there's no use having that game style. So even D-Web, the way he would, film a lot of our kicks in the preseason and make these little tweaks so that we actually had the skills to implement this game plan, it just shows his dedication and his eye for detail.
D-Web, it's kind of like J-Lo, isn't it? But Em, I've got a question for you. Hockball, do you know what it means? What is it? Because we all talk about it. Is it something that you guys talk about as well? Do you know what it is? And is it something that you've just derived from the men's team? Because look at all these celebrations. They're fantastic. It looks like you're having so much fun. But what is Hockball?
Oh, great question, Sarah. No one really knows, but I think it's just high energy footy. It's having a lot of fun, bringing flair, bringing your weapons. But yeah, just enjoying your footy. I think when you see those smiles on the faces, it brings the fans along. You get more energy out of your teammates. So I'm not sure what it is, but it's working.
And is it something that we've manufactured, or is it something that is real? Because for me, it would be like when we hear about the Bloods culture at the Swans. Is it a mythology, or is it something that you can really feel in at the club?
I think we've started to really take it on. I think before it was probably just media and social media and whatnot, but now the way we play, there's certain plays that come off and you might look at each other and you think, okay, that was Hockball, when it's just really attacking footy, free-flowing, looks good, feels good. So yeah, we've started to really embody it and we love it.
And you had a special guest down at the club this week. Please tell us more, because Ariane Titmus, the golden girl of the pool when it comes to the latest Olympics, she's even getting into the selfie mode as well.
Yeah, so Ariane visited us yesterday at our team meeting. They surprised us and was honestly so inspiring. Just hearing about the dedication to how much she trains, or even she was talking about heading into Tokyo. She hadn't even had a drink in 3 years. Before another Olympics, she didn't go out just for dinner 4 months before, just in case she got sick. Like, it was just an eye-opener to how disciplined, determined, and even just her mindset going into races. It was so inspiring, and we're glad that she's a #1 Hawk supporter.
Now, Em, it was your birthday recently, so happy birthday to you. But I need you to explain this video that was on Hawthorn socials, because it's not a cake, it's a banana with a candle in it. And I'm reliably told that you don't like bananas, but you eat a lot before every game. So are you my friend Bananas? And what is going on behind you and this fruit?
I know, this story's sort of grown legs a bit, but basically I eat like 6 or 7 bananas on game day, but don't particularly like them. But it sort of started, it was a Western Bulldogs game when I was playing for Brisbane, and I was a bit hungry on game day, and I know that like bananas full of carbs and really easily digestible, so I just kept eating them until I wasn't hungry anymore. And so that was about 7 bananas, and then played well that day, so from then on continued with the 7 bananas.
So you haven't thought about maybe substituting the banana with something you like eating?
I have thought about it, yeah, I'm on my way, yeah.
Absolutely unbelievable. Well, Em, you get up and join Gemma at the deep dive, because Gem, we're going to get into something with a rather purple theme.
We love a ruck in the AFLW. There's one in particular that's kind of risen through the ranks this year, and it's Mim Strom. What is it that makes her so good?
I think it's just the way she can do so much on the ground. Obviously, hit-outs dominating this year with 36.1, but the amount she gets the footy as well and brings her inside mids into the game, and even just her skill level. Some of the handballs she gets out to her mids, she's really creative by hand and has the composure by foot to hit mids as well. So, yeah, emergence of so many good rucks in the league. Obviously, Matilda Scholl's having a great season, Lucy Wales at Hawthorn, but yeah, Mim Strom has had a great year.
Jess Allen, we've got to throw in there as well from Adelaide. The one thing we want to identify first is her ability to find space with her hit. So we've got a couple of examples of her tap outs here, and the way she's very quickly able to identify the mid that she wants to go to that has created space. So here, it's Ash McCarthy has created the space, she's the go-to. And that we see throughout all of her games, don't we?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's great connection between her and her mids. They see, you might go on with the plan, but then a pocket of space might open up, and you see Mim be able to change the tap to actually suit the pocket of space that's opened.
This one in particular, sorry, Em, you're in this vision, but Aisling McCarthy has no opponent, and she's just able to tap over behind her. She's just very quickly able to make those decisions so dangerous. The next thing we want to highlight is her positioning. So when she's not involved in the play, what does she do? This is an example. She doesn't get the hit out. Not everyone always gets the hit out. It happens sometimes. But what Mim does afterwards is what's so important, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I think it just shows her footy IQ as a player. Obviously, gets out of the space, lets her forwards go to work and sets up in a more defensive position so that obviously, once obviously West Coast try to clear the ball, she's there to take that intercept mark. So it just shows her footy IQ as well.
Yeah, so rather than crowding the forward line where she knows she's got her forwards up there, she comes out, becomes the intercept option instead. She's also just super skillful, isn't she?
She is. I think when you play, against her, it's like playing another inside mid with how sharp she is with her hands, as you see right here. So obviously not a lot of rocks have that. Lucy Wales at Hawthorn, I'm very lucky, does as well. So I'll give her a shout out. But even by foot here, she shows a lot of composure to just slow things down and just find space and, normally would hit that target. So she's, having a great year.
And this one here, she essentially stops the ability for you guys to get it forward by tackling Eliza West. You'd made great space for Eliza there, but Mim was the one that came through, laid that tackle.
And I think you love that from your rucks. Anytime they're laying big tackles, it sort of lifts you as a team as well, because they're not obviously typically known for tackling. So, it just adds so much to your midfield when also your ruck can lay big tackles.
Mim Strom could be Fremantle's biggest weapon coming into finals as they re-emerge in a final series, so we can't wait to watch her play.
Thanks to Gem and M with the deep dive there. Mim Strom, what a season she is having indeed. But let's bring up this weekend's action to see how it is all shaking out ahead of finals. It kicks off at GMHBA Stadium on Friday between the Cats and the Crows. And then on Saturday, Sarah, we've got some games that are going to be very important when it comes to the top 8.
Yeah, only one game this round doesn't have a direct ramification on the top 8. That is Sydney and West Coast, which is intriguing in its own right. So the Roos will be pushing for the minor premiership. Essendon need to keep their season alive. And then on to Sunday's games. Brisbane, if they want to keep in the race for the $1 million, they've got to beat St Kilda.
Absolutely. Looking forward to the gripping footy that's going to be across the weekend, and really it does kick off on Friday. As we've said throughout this show, this is a match that the Cats simply must win. It's Geelong coming up against the Adelaide Crows. And Sarah, I'd give the Cats every chance here, even though they're going to be short some players. As you said, the emergencies are going to be top-up players, but it's the Crows' goal efficiency that has me a little concerned. We spoke about this previously on the show and it came to fruition in the weekend against North, didn't it?
Yeah, let's pick up this conversation we had last week just before the Crows were about to face North Melbourne. The major issue Adelaide have been facing in this second half of the year has been their efficiency inside 50. They've got stars on every line, but they're just really struggling to convert in front of goals. Some of these shots are harder than others, but some of them are very straightforward from quite talented players. So the thing about this is that sometimes it's a mental game. So, which means that it can turn just as quickly as it has turned bad. And that's really going to be key at GMHBA, which can be quite tricky to kick goals from.
So last weekend, the Crows' goal efficiency was 12.5%. Overall this season, it's at 17%. Em, as we welcome you back, can those yips in front of goal just become a little bit contagious at times?
I think so, especially when you're well aware of them. But I know they'll be doing a lot of the work throughout the week on goal kicking, and it'll be obviously front of mind. So I think we'll probably see that rectified come this weekend.
Let's get to our star power thanks to NAB. And we can't go past the Irish import for Geelong in Ash Maloney. She is coming off a bag of 6 goals. And I've got to say, Sarah, she doesn't look like she'd be the most proficient footballer or goal kicker. But Ash Maloney just continues to turn heads, and at the moment she is leading the goal kicking.
Ash Maloney, my mum's favourite player, by the way, just because she's so entertaining to watch. As you said, she's a bit unconventional in her approach. She's a little bit, arms and legs, but it all works for her. Geelong's issues at the start of the year were not solely down to Maloney, but she hadn't quite hit her stride. When she's on, she's almost unstoppable. It'll be a really interesting matchup against Chelsea Bedell on the weekend, that's for sure.
And we're seeing so many Irish imports star. What is it that makes them so good at our game?
Oh, I think they're just so athletic. Just Maloney's probably one of my favourite players too, just because she can do it all. She's super fast, good in the air, great at ground level as well, beautiful kick, and even her set shots were incredible. She just really owned the moment and nailed them through on the weekend. So I think they're just so strong at the footy. They're so strong-willed. They're really hard workers. I absolutely love the Irish. I think they bring so much to our game. And obviously our 2 Irish, Aileen Gilroy and Anya McDonough, have been massive this year. They just know where the sticks are. They love kicking goals.
And we are edging ever closer to the grand final, and you can win a 2024 NAB AFLW grand final experience thanks to NAB. Just send a message of support to inspire your favourite AFLW club or player and help them and you get to the grand final. The prize includes travel accommodation, 2 tickets to the game and an unforgettable money can't buy experience. Just go to the link on the screen there. Sarah, Em, thank you so much for all your work today.
Can't believe we're final round.
I know.
A lot on the line.
And how are the nerves? Are we good?
We're actually good. Yeah, I think come Sunday it'll be a different story, but right now, feeling good.
All right, and thank you for joining us on The W Show. Thanks to NAB.
Join me, Sarah Hoskinson, and me, Sarah Rowe, as we take a look at life on and off the footy field. Tagged every Tuesday on afl.com.au/AFLW or wherever you get your podcasts.